This is the life. Oh. What's that noise? Oh no, not this shit again. No, 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 no. Nope. 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 No! It's time for the Pestrogen podcast with Jenny and Jerusha. This episode, prepping for Pandemonium.
Hey guys, welcome back to Pestrogen. This is episode 4 already. Prepping for Pandemonium. We're going to be talking about getting ready for busy season because it is around the corner, and once it's here, there is no going back. And in my experience, you never really know when it starts.
Yeah.
Just all of a sudden, you've got 15 extra aunt calls that you've got to get to, and then it doesn't stop again until November. So today we're going to kind of talk about how we're prepping for that, what we're doing to get ready for that, goals for the busy season, and we're going to just try to hold on to our butts and ride through this busy ass couple of months we've got coming. I'm Jerusha, and this is my lovely co-host, Jenny. Jenny, how was your week this week?
It was awesome. By the way, real quick before I go into my week, those who heard our awesome intro, that is JT. And if you're familiar with Tales from the Crawl Space, that is the spawn of Sir Mr. Starry, the Jack. If you're interested in getting a intro or anything like that, he does like voice acting stuff, all kinds of stuff. You can get a hold of him through email or Facebook, but his email, jackstarryjr@gmail, which is adorable. But anyway, my week was very rushed, and I worked ahead because we got to be guests on Beauties and Beasties. That was so much fun.
It was a blast.
Yeah.
It was stressful getting there on time, though.
Yeah, I know.
So if you didn't hear it, they are a UK-based podcast, and they record live at 7 p.m. on Friday nights, but we are not in the UK. So for me, that was 12 o'clock. And for Jenny, that was 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And it's the end of the month. So we were working pretty crazy just to get the month done with. And then, I had to be home for a couple hours to do that, which was an absolute blast. But yeah, it was hard. It was hard getting there.
Yeah, it was. I didn't expect to laugh as much as we did. It was it was so much
a
more
really good time.
Fun than I thought it would be. Like, I don't know why, but anything aside from Tales from the Crawl Space and Pestrogen, I'm thinking like, oh, this is serious because because we're goofy, you know. So, but
I was really nervous that I wouldn't be like technical enough.
Right.
For that podcast, because the people I listened to, I was like, dude, they are so much like their previous episodes and their guests. I was like, that person is so much smarter than I am. I don't know what I'm going to talk about, but it was a good time. I had an excellent time on their show. That was a great experience to have with you and with them.
Yes, I definitely consider Sean and Lex going forward good friends, and I look forward to spending time with them again. And I want to try to log into the live ones when they do them, if I can, like just on route, just have it playing through my earbuds or something.
That would be fun. The live with like comments and questions and stuff is a really cool concept. That was fun.
Yeah, definitely. Yes.
I think on Thursday, I had a pretty easy day. But Tuesdays and Thursdays are my days that I go to the haunted mental asylum. And that can take me anywhere from like 2 hours to 5 hours, depending on what they have for me. And so I was in a different town trying to get all my work there done so that I could go to the hospital. And then I was going to try to work ahead a little bit for Friday. And then my service manager called me at like 8 and was like, "Hey, hear me out before you start yelling at me." I was like, "Oh fuck, what?"
Oh no.
Well, apparently a sales guy sold 2 nursing home properties. Like there's a big actual nursing home complex, and then next door I think it's like either assisted living or just senior housing. So there's 2 complexes. Well, this guy sold them and put the start on my coworker who is an hourly technician and
Mm-hmm.
I'm commission, and
Mm-hmm.
it was in my route and it was in the town that I was working in, and it was over $2,000 for these starts, and they put them on a guy that makes $20 an hour. So I was like, he's
Right.
going to get $60 maybe for this
Right.
start, where I'm going to get like hundreds of dollars for this
Right.
start. Like,
Yeah.
and so my service manager was like, "Don't worry, I'll take a couple other things off of you." And I was like, "No, I want the start because financially, like
Yeah.
that's
That makes
huge."
sense. Right.
Um, and so that ended up being like he came and helped me because it was big. It was a big undertaking. I think it took us maybe 3 hours together. And he took one thing off of me, and then I worked Saturday to make up some of the other work to keep the money in my pocket. But like,
Smart.
I was like, dude, you could have at least given me some notice. And he's like, we didn't, like, nobody caught it
Right.
until the morning of. And they were like, why would we give such a lucrative start to an hourly technician when the commission technician is down the road? I was
Right.
like, yeah, thank you. I would have been pissed had I found out like
Yeah.
that we threw all of that commission away and just paid a guy $20 an hour to take care of it. So that made it even a little bit more stressful, but the paycheck should be nice. So
Yes. That's
that
awesome.
was, yeah, that was kind of the only excitement of my week. It was kind of a lame,
Yeah.
just chasing stops at the end of the month.
Yep. So will that be your account going forward then?
Yeah, and that's
Okay.
why it was like,
Yeah.
why
Exactly.
wouldn't
Yeah.
Jerusha go do it? Because then I got to decide where I wanted the
Yes.
equipment. I got to meet
Mm-hmm.
maintenance and introduce myself to, reception and everybody that I'll be dealing with.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know why they would have had somebody else do it, because I think it's monthly. So I'll be
Yeah.
there every month. I should be the one setting it up and
That's
and
that's smart.
assessing the issues and whatever.
Yeah. When I was out on vacation in December, um, we took on some restaurants, a chain of restaurants in my area that some of them would go to me. And my service manager, the one that ran the route before me and set up all the accounts that I run, he did starts on some of them. And then the other service manager did starts on some of them where he primarily did residential. And it was so funny going to the second service on those, because it was like the one that I follow behind the most. I was just like, oh yeah, of course you put the, and I thought it was super adorable that he put the barcodes in the female bathroom. And I was like,
I hate
oh,
I followed after a guy and they're always in the men's
yeah,
bathroom.
yeah. Which I mean, you got to go in there anyway. But sometimes I
Yeah.
don't want to be like crawling under the sink when a dude walks in,
Yes,
So,
right.
so I thought that was so cute when I found it. I texted him and said, "Oh, thanks.
Thank you.
You love me. I knew it. I knew it. I know you're a tough guy, but deep down,
You can't.
yeah,
You're okay. So speaking of that, the guy that I took over from um overly used glue boards, and I'll go into office complexes and there's like 40 glue boards and I'm like, dude, like this is excessive. Um But the one thing that he did that I stopped doing and had to like educate my customers as to why I wouldn't do it anymore, he would put a glue board under the urinal or in between urinals. And I was like,
that's
bro, I'm not like there's splash, there's like men don't have aim. Like I'm
right.
not. And so customers would be like, yeah, he always has one in the men's bathroom. Absolutely not. And here's why. I'm not picking up that urine soaked glue board every month to check it.
That's great.
And then like
Oh my
the
gosh.
barcode would be like on the bottom of the urinal. Like, dude, I don't need to be that close to the urinal. Like, what are
No.
you thinking? Put it on the door. Like, come on.
Yeah. Or some of my accounts, they're like under the sink or whatever. But
Yeah, under the sink is fine. Under the urinal,
no,
absolutely not. Like that's
nope.
getting scraped off and we're adding a new one.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever seen a glue board in a bathroom that wasn't like under the like a cabinet if they have cabinets or whatever.
Yeah.
That I mean, yeah. But
We put
that's
them
crazy.
sometimes on the back of the door jamb so that you have to come into the bathroom and
Ah,
get it. But like at the urinal,
nope.
gross. Why would you
Right.
ever think that that was acceptable?
Yeah, nope. Not about
Sorry,
that
you just
life.
reminded me of it talking
Yeah,
about the bathrooms.
that's great. I love it. So one thing that we have determined in Pestrogen, kind of like how in PCHD we were called cheese bags, which there's a whole thing behind that, but you know, we're proud cheese bags. But in Pestrogen, we decided to call each other's pesties besties. Pesty besties. But you have a TikTok. What's your TikTok
My
again?
TikTok is your pesty bestie.
Exactly. See, it was destined.
It
It's
was. It
beautiful.
was just meant to be.
Yep, absolutely. I
Yeah,
love it.
I changed it. I had a video go viral on TikTok and I happened to be I was talking about just a restaurant and how nice their employees were to me. And the restaurant gets a little bit of political backing and is often brought up because of the owner's political views. And it went viral with people like, you should never go there, they're awful. Or people being like, praise the Lord, they're the best. And I was like,
Oh God.
they just gave me a free coffee. And I thought it was really nice.
Oh,
Um, and it got like, I think it got like 750,000 views or something. And I mean, the comments were like completely insane. Like Mama Tot saw it and commented.
I
If
love
you
Mama
know who
Tot.
Mama Tot is,
I
yeah,
love
yeah.
Mama Tot. I am a tot.
She watched my video and I was like, I'm dying and going to heaven.
Right?
So it was absolutely wild, but a girlfriend of mine was like, my TikTok was my full name. And so she was like, I had a video go viral, you're gonna want to change that. So I was
Yeah.
like, well fuck, what am I supposed to be? And since it like went viral, it was a video about pest control. At the time I posted mostly stuff about pest control. So I was like, I'm everybody's pesty bestie. So
That's
I have
great.
been your pesty bestie ever since because people on the internet are crazy and I didn't want to get stalked. So
Fair.
I had to change my name.
Yeah.
But I like it, and Mama Tot knows who I am, so that's pretty fucking cool.
That is so cool. Oh my gosh. Love it.
So yeah, now we're all pesty besties.
Yes, that's our thing. Um the running joke when we first started branching from PCHD was, what's your nickname going to be? Milk bags? Because cheese bags. I'm like, no,
I
no.
hadn't heard that one, but that's pretty good too, actually.
Come on now.
I wouldn't
But
call myself that, but that's
no,
funny.
it is funny. But yep.
All right. Well, should we get on topic?
Yes. Oh
What
yeah.
do you do to get ready for busy season? And for you, like, when does that start climate wise? When will it be warm enough that you're really going nuts? And then also, you're in a commercial route. Do you see a really big difference in your route size and how busy you are seasonally, or do you stay pretty busy year round? So that was kind of like a
Um
4-part question.
So, being Midwestern as I am, there is a down season where I am. Absolutely. Because right now there's snow on the ground. Today we're warming up to almost 40 degrees, which is nice.
Mm-hmm.
But as spring progresses, what happens tends to happen that I've noticed, even from my residential and my commercial experiences, the warm days, different pests start to push, like ants. I'll start getting
Mm-hmm.
those ants calls and things like that. Um, but the down season is pretty much rodents, whatever. But peak busy season for us is, oh, we've got wasps, things like that. So even doing commercial, I see a big push of calls of
Mm-hmm.
things like I could have just been there 3 days ago and a
Yes.
wasp nest has formed in that time. And it's like, ah. So I think last year I started with this commercial route February 5th. So I got to see that progression. And now I'm basically starting over. And yeah, so it's ramping up. It's getting there.
Yep. Yep.
How about for you? Do you have a
Um,
down season?
so yes and no. I mean, we do get a winter, but
Mm-hmm.
like I'm from Minnesota. So I
Mm-hmm.
started my career in Minnesota where you winterize. We did a lot of power spraying.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a residential and commercial route. And you winterize everything. You don't do anything exterior from like October to April, and then April
Mm-hmm.
kind of starts to ramp up. Here now, we get over 300 days of sun throughout the year in Colorado, and I'm in an area that's considered high desert. So this winter has been kind of extreme. We've had like 4 blizzards that really dumped a good amount of snow on us. We've had really cold, like below zero weather. But like today I think it's going to be like 65 today, I want to say. The other day I was
Okay.
working and I'm not even kidding. I went into my account with my jacket on and I came out and was like sweating because in the hour and a half that I was in there, it had jumped up. It was almost in the 70s. Um, and yesterday I saw a honeybee flying. It like flew into my truck and was like, while I was putting my stuff away, it was flying around. And I was like, are you fucking kidding me? It's February. Um,
That's
but
awesome.
I, maybe my second year here, I had to kill wasps outside in January. So it's weird
Wow.
here. We don't get as many of those calls, but um you'll see, yeah, you'll see flies, you'll see bugs outside, you'll see everything. It just hides on the cold days and they come back out when it's 70 degrees because it might as well be summer.
Mm-hmm.
So we're not getting the stinging insect numbers that we get in the summertime, but it's like I'm still doing exterior insect sprays in January and February because it warms up enough that it's still needed.
Mm-hmm.
And then, we'll just switch to granular if it's too cold, but for the most part, I not a ton changes. And then with my commercial route, I really don't slow down that much at all. I think I still do like 27, 28 a month, even in the winter time. And that will jump up because like we do mosquito stuff. I have a lot of mosquito accounts that goes
There you
away.
go.
The fly lights and the seasonal fly work goes away. Um, so it will jump up, but mine is pretty steady regularly. I know when I was in Minnesota, my route would go from like 28 in the summer to like 15 in the winter time because there's nothing to do.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we'll get busier. I definitely was working longer days. I started this company in July. So I haven't really seen like
Okay.
a spring in my route, but I did the majority of busy season in this route, so I at least kind of know what to expect.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not at a full year, and I think we talked about it on Beauties and Beasties that you really need like a full year in a route, in a climate. I think we were more so talking about when you first start, like if you make it that first year, but I'm just shy of having done this route for a full year. So once I just got a busy season. Once I get through that, I'll have kind of seen a little bit of everything in this route. So I'm getting there, but
Right.
yeah, it'll be crazy regardless.
Yeah. I love peak season so much, but it is exhausting. It is exhausting, and I love getting the sun in, and um nothing beats that. And like you said, I have some mosquito contracts on my route as
Hmm.
well, and I'm missing the money from that. So
Yeah.
and that was the thing with this route when I took it, was I didn't even know some of my accounts had mosquito until somebody's like, "Oh yeah, some dude showed up," and I was just like, I I'm
I can
already,
do that.
yeah, I already come here weekly. Why?"
Why didn't
So
I have that?
exactly, like I can operate a mister. Like, come on.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I
I'm
love mosquito
stoked.
work because I just like put in my headphones. You don't really have to talk
Hmm.
to anybody. Like it's kind of mindless.
Yeah,
That's one of
yeah.
my favorites.
I liked training on mosquitoes too, because especially if you use like the granules, it's spacing me the name of that product that we use, the spacing me. But I liked to tell them like visualize a perpetual downpour and where standing water would happen and stuff like that. So
Hmm.
that's kind of fun about it too. It's mindless, but also you get so used to looking for those kinds of things. It's fun.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
Yes.
solving a puzzle.
Yes, absolutely. I want to try Into Care so bad.
I do too. I've heard really good things about it and just haven't. That's the
Yeah.
one downside of working for a company that decides what
Yeah.
you're allowed. Like I've never tried Apprehend, and I would
Mhm.
absolutely love to. I've never tried Into Care, and I would love
Yes.
to, but I don't make the rules, so I don't get to
Right.
try cool things.
I know. But one thing, we may end up having Nina Jenkins as a guest in our future.
I
So
know. So
even
exciting.
even if we can't use it ourselves at this time, we can still learn all about it. And
We can learn
I'm
everything there is to know about Apprehend.
absolutely.
Yeah, I think
I,
that'll be a great episode if we get to do that. I just wish I got to use it myself.
yes. Yes. But yeah. So I did end up reaching out to several of my favorite owner operators. And what I ended up asking them was, "Hey, question for Pestrogen podcast. I'm sending to all my favorite owner ops. Not all of them. There's more of you out there, just so you know. We can't talk about all the hundreds of people that I love, but no, so then I said, as an owner op, as you gear up for busy season, what is one out of, I'm sure, many things that is a major stressor or highlighted focus area for your growth and success this coming busy season?" So we got several interesting responses on that.
Hmm.
Rodney, our great friend from Nova Scotia, Canada, he is the owner op of Powerhouse Pest Solutions. He started in March of 24. So he's going on to his second year now. But he said one of his stressors as a solo operator, with a widespread coverage area, is making sure his vehicle is in good working order. So that's completely understandable.
Hmm.
Absolutely. Even for those who aren't owner ops, we still have to maintain our vehicle, make sure it gets oil changes, all that good stuff,
Yeah. Yeah,
which
it
can
still
be,
throws you off if anything
yeah,
goes wrong with your. Actually, that reminds me. So I had my tire blowout a couple
oh
weeks
yeah,
ago, and I have a full size spare. So I put on the full size spare, and I have not gotten the actual tire fixed and put back because I just haven't had time. But
yep,
I've got to make an appointment and get that done before it does
yep,
start to get busy. Because if I'm too busy in February to get that fixed, and then I need a spare in fucking July, I'm fucked.
yep,
So I have to go in and get that
Yeah.
get that repaired, get a new tire in there so that I can, because I don't have a spare currently because it's got a hole about that big in it. So
Ouch. Yeah.
yeah, I got to go do that.
That's a hard part of peak season too, is when you got to do those kinds of things. It's like,
Hmm.
ugh, I've got so much to do this week. I don't I don't want to go get an
Yeah.
oil change.
Yeah, the maintenance is, it's so time consuming. It's not paid. Like I told my branch though, I was like, if I'm sitting at a shop, like I'm clocking in for it. I don't
Yeah.
technically get hourly,
Hmm.
but we get overtime. So if I'm sitting there for 5 hours, I'm clocking
Yep.
in for that shit.
Absolutely. My branch manager makes sure to remind me, like, hey, make sure you're clocking in. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So, and that's a good time for us who work for big suits to catch up on like your training videos and stuff too. Like, I'll do that. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's hard to find time. If my service manager is watching this, he'll be like, "Yeah, if you ever do them."
That's, I always get the call of like, hey, so you're the last person to not have completed your safety and training videos. Do you think you could do that? And I'm like, oh god damn it.
Right?
Fine. I'll sit
I
down and do
right.
it.
Like I'm having a hard time finding time to do my college, bro. Like, come
Yeah.
on.
Well, my problem is, so my route is very morning heavy. So my mornings, I just have so many accounts that are at very specific
Mhm.
times, and those are all morning accounts. So like
Mhm.
I don't have time to breathe until like 11 a.m.
Mhm.
And we have these, we have our weekly calls. And they're at 7:30, so that always screws up my day because that's right like peak time in my route. And then they'll be like, okay, and we booked everybody a little bit of extra time to get to the videos. And I'm like, I don't have time for that shit. I have somebody expecting me at 8 o'clock. Like, this has already fucked my day up. And so
Mhm.
then I'm like, yeah, I'll do it in the afternoon. And then I fucking forget. And then they're like, hey,
Mhm.
could you do those? They were due 6 weeks ago. I'm like, yeah, sorry. I'll
Yep.
fucking do it.
Yes.
It's never
They've
anything
been,
important, though.
yeah. And
It's like,
they
don't get bit by a dog. Oh, okay, I won't.
right. Which that training would probably be very great for a newer person. Speaking of, like, there's this guy that I'd talked to from PCHD, and I mentioned like I'm pretty scared of dogs because of my encounters with pest control, and he's
Hmm.
like, "Well, you just must not be a good dog person or whatever." Blah blah blah. And then recently, like 2 weeks ago, he messaged me
He
and
got
said,
bit.
"I got bit by a dog." I was like, "I knew it."
Had it coming.
Yep.
That's what you
But
get.
exactly. So those training videos are for those people that think they're above getting bit by a dog.
I've been bit, I think, 3 times on the job, and I'd fucking do it again. Worth every second. Like, I will pet every
Oh
dog around. When I die, it is going to be because I pet a dog, or not a dog, an animal I had no business petting. Like, I would literally be like, oh my God, look at that bobcat. It's so cute. Come here, baby. One day I'm going to die trying to pet a mountain lion,
no. I am
and
not. I'm
I'm
on
going
the
to go
up
out happier than a
on that.
clam.
I am definitely on the complete opposite spectrum. I'm terrified of people's dogs. And I
Oh, the
know that
dogs are the best part of the job for me.
I know a lot of people say like they can sense your fear or whatever, but like certain dogs I'm not scared of because they're not giving me any kind of inclination that they're going to be vicious or whatever. But some
Yeah.
of the bigger dogs, they like give me this look like right off bat, like, who you? And I'm like, help somebody.
I get that. You know what? I was attacked by a dog when I was a kid. um, and it became this whole huge thing because like animal control came. We ended up having to go to court to whatever testify against the people, and it was a Rottweiler. And so for a little while when I was a kid, I was afraid, and now I'm like totally the opposite, where I'm like, no, I probably should have a little bit of fear. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
Approach slower.
Yeah.
Maybe you can't
There.
pet every single dog. But like if a dog is barking at me, I like take it as a challenge to like, oh, you're gonna love me.
It's adorable.
Stupid. Anyway,
Oh,
sorry. Back to
yes.
topic. Oh, Eric's was all about, I'm not going to read it word for word. But his is all about quality over quantity. And
Yes.
making sure that even though it's insanely busy, that you still do good work. Because yeah, I think it's easy to like, if you have 19 stops you have to make in the day, it's a lot easier to just kind of rush through all of them as opposed to giving really great service every single time. And so he's talking about evaluating the quality of the work and growth. And he says that includes the work in the field, on the phones, behind the scenes, marketing, etc., etc. Quantity of work sounds great on paper, but it's quality of work that drives profits, company culture, sustainability, etc. A lot of companies limit the quality of the work they do because of the quantity they commit to, when they should be limiting the quantity based on what quality they can accomplish. Yep,
Absolutely.
agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed. But it's, I mean, I know we're probably all guilty of cutting corners here and there to get through the day a little bit faster, but I think you have to learn what corners can be cut and which ones cannot, and how to kind of work smarter, not harder, so that you can still give really high quality service and complete 109 work orders in 8 hours.
Exactly. Yeah. And that it really does come down to company culture. And that's one thing that I really like about Eric Bassett. If I'm saying your last name wrong, I'm so sorry. But ever since we started Pestrogen, he's been an awesome cheerleader in the background. It's like, oh my gosh, this is a great idea. You guys are awesome. But he has 18 years in the industry. And for somebody who's been in the industry that long to make such a statement of the quality versus quantity, I think that's really, really cool. Because most people are like, I'm in it to get rich and let's just get all these accounts. It's the kind of like the Donnie and Marie
Hmm.
ideology of acquire accounts and go. So I love that because you're not going to build relationships with those accounts without the quality. So I love that.
Yeah, or
Definitely.
you'll get them and then you'll lose them because you're not fixing their
Exactly.
problems, you're not solving their issues, you've overpromised and underdelivered.
Yeah.
So you might have
100%.
them for a little while, but you're not going to keep them long term, which in the long run, doesn't it? I think I don't know the exact numbers, but like it costs way more to acquire a new client than it does to just keep your current customers happy. So if you're
Yeah.
just always giving quality service, then you're only going to make more money.
Absolutely. Yep. And for the next one, the Nords, Family Pest Control in Oregon, I know for a fact that they give awesome quality service, and it just talking with them, they've had clients that have been with them since the beginning, so they definitely understand that. But what they said was, as busy season approaches, the biggest stressor is currently getting Brandon back to 100%. So Brandon Nord has had some health complications and stuff since October of last year, but he's doing better. So glad to hear it because I love them to pieces. But so they're working on Brandon getting back up to health, and then they're going to get some specialty licenses added, and um, they wanted to. They said that they don't usually have a slow season, so it never really gets cold enough for them to not have
For
insects
everything to
to
go
deal with.
away.
So that's
Yeah.
pretty awesome. So, um, but yeah, that's I'm glad Brandon's doing better. That's
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. That's tough to be
Hmm.
dealing with health stuff and trying to, especially being an owner and like everything is on you, and then that's
Hmm.
scary.
Yeah, and even a husband wife operation like that, when one goes down, it's tough.
Yeah, that's a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
I had an injury once in, I think it was like March or April, and it was when I was in Minnesota. And so that was like right at the beginning. Like I think April was my biggest or second biggest month in that route, because that was when we started doing all of our ant work. And I was on the job when I got hurt, and I tripped over I stepped onto like a wood pile um in a barn to get to my bait station, and the wood pile gave out, and I did everything to my ankle short of breaking it. Like if I had broken it, I would have healed faster. And then I was out for the majority of busy season, and then in a walking boot for the rest of it, and it was absolutely miserable. And thankfully I worked for a large company, and it was workman's comp because I was hurt on the job. So that kept
Right.
the cash flow. And then they had people to send out to help complete the
That's
work that
awesome.
I couldn't work, because it was gradual. Like, okay, you can go back to work, but you can only walk 2 hours a day.
Oh,
That's not shit in July.
right.
So yeah, as an independent business owner, I can't even imagine. I just would
Right.
have been screwed. There's, if you're
Yeah.
not healthy, if you've got an injury, something going on, and that's terrifying. So Kevin with All Over Pest Solutions, he didn't say how long he's been in it, but he brought up a good point about labor and work-life balance. And how, yeah, in the winter time, like we're around, we're not working 16-hour days. And then in the summertime, we are 6, 7 days, 14 to 16 hours a day. And he says he's trying to train somebody so that he's not working quite so crazy, which that's a huge step in your own business, having to hire somebody because you're too busy to do it on your own. But yeah, I think that's a huge deal for us in the summertime. I know that when I first took over my route, I was definitely regularly pulling 15 and 16-hour days. And right now I've got it down to like, I try not to go over 13. But come warm season, like that's going to be out of my control. Who even knows? All bets are off at that
Exactly.
point.
Yeah.
And that's the
Yeah.
hardest, trying to
Mm-hmm.
have a life in the summertime. In the summertime, you want to be out, you want to be doing stuff, hanging
Yeah.
with the kids, and that's when we're working the longest.
Yeah. And that's one thing with Kevin. He's our Chicago man, but he's got two beautiful kiddos, and he seems like a super sweet dad. So I know he's just trying to prepare himself for that time with his kids, which that's a big thing in our industry that's hard
Mm-hmm.
over peak season, is being able to be a present parent. I know I
Yeah.
struggle.
Yeah. And still get the job done and be where you need to be.
Yep, 100%. But and
That's
then
tough.
my buddy Diesel, he is in Illinois. He has only been 4 months in, so 4 months in, and he's killing it. But he said he's hyper focusing on um, routing, essentially, so making his route function in a way that is most optimal for him financially and all that. So with him gearing up in the beginning too, I think he would greatly benefit from talking to people like Kevin Wilhite and the Nords and all that, because that's his focus. Sounds like it's on point for somebody who's just kicking off for
Mm-hmm.
his first busy season by himself. So
Yeah.
we'll have to follow up with Diesel and ask him after this busy season, like, all right, how
Ask
did
him if he's alive,
I
first
was
of
going to
all.
say exactly. He's
Did
gonna
you survive? And if so,
well miss
what did we
that.
learn?
Right, exactly. Because I'm sure that first year is probably tough. Yeah,
Absolutely. Just in
but
the industry, period, that first year, that first busy season. But then, yeah, owning your own business your first year has got to be Actually, we're going to talk to my big brother in a couple of weeks.
Yes.
He's going to come on and be a guest, and he went from working for a company for a really long time to now running his own thing. And I think I don't pay attention when he talks, so I'm not.
That's
I
great.
don't know the exact amount of time he's been doing it. I don't know if he's at a full year. Like he had tried, and then he did other things, and then he started up, and he's really been crushing it. But yeah, we're gonna have him on in a couple of weeks, 2 weeks, I think. So that'll be fun to kind of talk to somebody who has very recently started their own, and came from a pretty massive company. But he was kind of a big dog at that company and now doing his own thing. So I'm kind of excited to hear that process.
Yeah.
He's
I'm
kind of an idiot, but it'll be
I,
fun to talk to him.
that's what I was about to say. I'm excited to hear your guys' banter. I'm sure it's great.
Yeah, see, he's pretty jealous that we have a podcast because he and I like talk all day while we're working. And I think we've talked about it before. I think he almost started a podcast. And then I told him, and he was like, "Oh my God, I'm so jealous." So I thought it would only be right to have him on here, but he's a moron. Don't listen to anything that he has to say.
I'm sorry, big brother. I'm sorry.
He knows. He knows he's an idiot.
That's great. I love it.
No, that'll be fun to talk to him and
Yes.
hear that experience kind of firsthand. And hopefully we'll have more guests in the future that have those types of experiences as well.
Yeah, absolutely. But Jasmine Pest Pro, she's going into her third year. Essentially, she mentioned that she's a hyper planner, and I think that's amazing because yeah, she also mentions like I'm very ADHD, so thankfully she grew up in a small community and they've taught her coping way mechanisms of planning and stuff. I might have to hit you up on that because, but so she's not too concerned, but she is growing very fiercely, and it's super exciting. And but she wants to recruit, and she kind of goes on to mention that there's a little hesitation with the recruiting
Mhm.
process because she wants to grab the right person. So all of these that I took from the owner operators, I'm going to make a post in Pestrogen and on my personal page with their photos and stuff, so you can read them in full if you're interested. But just to paraphrase, that's kind of what she was
Mhm.
mentioning for that.
And then we had in Pestrogen, I kind of focused more on like, I asked about like, what are you keeping in the truck with you? What are you doing to get yourself through the really long days? My personal go-to is that I always have deodorant and sunscreen. And I literally, in the summertime, I am so white. I don't have literally any melanin whatsoever in my skin. So I have to just constantly be applying sunscreen, and then I just like refresh my deodorant, body spray. I mean, I have all of it because I just am so paranoid about being stinky.
I feel
And
it.
there's no way to avoid it. Like if it's
Uh-huh.
100 degrees outside and you're walking around with a mosquito backpack and whatever,
Yeah.
doing the thing, like you're going to be stinky and disgusting. So that's kind of what I focus on.
Mm-hmm.
And then that was a lot of it too. Kat said wet wipes for the face,
Yes.
and a frog tog cooling towel. That's an excellent idea. Katerina said protein bars, Gatorade Zero. That's huge. Water, Gatorade. I bring like a bottle like this big, and I usually freeze like half of it so that it melts throughout the day, but that I still have something cold to like cool off.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and Katerina also said I started using Dr. Squatch deodorant on my inner thighs and pits. A gallon of water in one of those double walled insulated jugs with ice, an electric lunchbox that plugs into the truck. I need one of those.
Me too.
A nice shady hat. Body powder in my socks and pants helps with swamp ass. Flushable wipes and wear sunscreen. The sunscreen is kind of it for me. And the swamp ass.
Yeah. Yeah.
We all need to learn how to deal with that.
Yeah. 100%. That's, yeah. I've been
Melissa said baby wipes,
Oh yeah.
which is fantastic. And she mentioned too, great for, it's good for when you're sweating, but also great for when you get chemical overspray, which I try to do that too. I try to keep those on me as well, because otherwise at the end of the day you feel like you're on fire.
Yeah. Russell said, my biggest goal is to not let my kids cash in on my life insurance policy just yet.
That's real.
Just to survive the busy season. I don't blame them.
Somebody mentioned like remembering bee gloves. Make sure your bee suit is ready for you. You know exactly where it is. You know that it is in good working order. I thought that I was too good for bee suits for a long time. Because the supervisor that trained me in would never wear one unless it was really, really, really bad.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I don't even need those. And then I literally didn't wear one for like 3 years. And then in like a week's time, I got stung like 6 times. And I'm very sensitive to bug bites and stings and stuff.
Yeah.
And I kept getting like, you know, where they'd get me twice and I'd be like, oh, and it was just driving me crazy for like 3 days. So I went from never having been stung to being stung like 6, 8 times or something like that in one season. So
Yeah.
now I know I'm not too good for a bee suit.
Yeah. That's why I love Brad Harvey from PCHD, is that he, and Tales from Crawl Space, that he's always like, you know, all these guys that act like they're too cool for bee suits and like will pick on people for it. He's like, fuck you. You know, he's like, I just don't want to get stung. Like, there's my penis stays the same size regardless if I wear a bee suit or not. So
yeah, it's not fun. Why would you want to get hurt? You're just stupid.
Yeah.
But you know, manly men can't do anything to protect themselves. Whatever.
Right.
I was totally that way, but my
yeah,
it was my supervisor was an idiot, and so he just never pushed them.
Yeah.
And I don't even think I had one at that company, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I went a whole busy season without one once. It was rough.
Yeah. It's stupid. It just doesn't make any sense. Why would you not?
I think our company, the one I worked for, was like short on them, and I kept asking and asking, and then finally I just gave up on it. I was like,
yeah,
I'm done.
I think part of mine had to be like ordered or something at my last company. Like, I don't think they had one that was my size.
Oh.
If I remember correctly. So I think I had to wait a little while to get the full everything. Maybe it was like the gloves or something weren't, like they only had extra large or something. But I do remember having part of the suit not available to me right away, but only because, you know, all the sizes they carried were giant and I am not. So I just have these little hands. So I think I had to get like special ordered gloves or something.
Yeah.
But now I take it seriously. I don't want to. And I've heard that you can develop an allergy over time too. So like you could go your whole life and then all of a sudden be allergic.
Wow.
So I'm not taking any chances.
Yeah. Nope. Good on that. Definitely.
Yeah. I think that's kind of all I had for tips, what to keep in and around your vehicle. I think just, you know what is one? I always forget about the little tiny filter in the B&G until my B&G stops spraying.
Oh, yeah.
Clean your filters now. Don't. And then that happened with my power sprayer once when I was in Minnesota. I didn't know that there was a filter that I needed to be cleaning until like I had 18 power sprays to do that day, and
Yeah.
the filter was disgusting and it stopped working on me. So check your filters.
Yeah. To take care of your equipment, because yeah, that's a big deal when
Hmm.
you're busy.
Yeah, yeah, and then all of a sudden you don't have anything to keep the killing going.
Mm-hmm.
Well, do we want to talk about our friends, the door knockers that everybody seems to be?
Yes. Yes. My buddy Jared from the graveyard is what I'll call it. But anybody who knows Facebook groups probably knows what I'm talking about. But he told a story that I greatly relate to. Definitely was.
And he was just basically like parked in his customer's driveway doing service, correct? And some chode walked up and
Yeah.
tried to sell his customer pest control.
Yeah. And he goes on a pretty long rant, but I don't blame him. I feel it.
Yeah, yeah.
I feel it.
I think we've all been there. I've never had
Yeah.
them come up to me while I was doing a service, but
Oh my
I've
God.
like seen them in the neighborhood going just
Yeah.
door to door to door. And I know I've lost customers to them, and
Well, in my experience, when it happened, I had already approached my client, spoke with them at the door about their needs, whatever. This is my first time servicing them. It was that first residential company I worked for where you didn't have a regular route, so every time you showed up on somebody's doorstep, you had to get to know them and stuff. So I'd already done that part, and they didn't like the previous technician that came out, and they had been having continual ant issues. So I was feeling them out, letting them know what I can do. I'm going to perform an inspection, let you know what I find, let you know my IPM plan going forward, blah, blah, blah. And so then I go to my truck to get something, and I'm walking back, and there's a dude with a segway at the door talking to the same lady I just talked to.
what a
So I walk
dick.
up straight up to him and say, like, excuse me? And he's like, he turns and basically says, I'm not talking to you.
What
So
a
so
dickhead.
I look at the homeowner like, I don't know what's happening right now. And but so I look at her and I say, all right, I'm gonna get started for you, ma'am, whatever. Well,
Yeah.
I get to do my thing, and I'm kind of like getting very irritated because I can hear him, and it is the nickname I coin as Faptive, and they're saying why they're just so much better, blah blah blah, this or that, it's going to be cheaper, blah blah blah. So then I perform my inspection, follow up with the client. I decide not to mention it then. I probably looked crazy flushed and like flustered. And
Yeah.
then I performed the service, which included a full exterior spray, things like that. Well, afterwards, I get done. I come to the door and I'm like, hey, I heard what he was saying to you. Is there anything I can do? I really love servicing your property, blah, blah, blah. If price is a concern, I can always speak to the office. Like, anything you need from me, I am here for you right now. Like, this is the
Yeah.
moment. Tell me what you're thinking after talking to him. And she just says, okay, that's fine, thanks, I'll reach out if I need to. I'm like, all right. So I go to my truck, and I'm in my truck, and then Faptive service vehicle pulls up, and they are getting out to perform a service on top of what I've already
Oh
done.
my God.
He
Yeah,
gets
because
out
that's
like,
not illegal.
yeah, he gets out a backpack sprayer, and so I get out of my truck and I go over to him. I'm like, hey, I just applied a service here.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just doing my job. I'm just doing my job. They told me I was like, so you're going to risk your license to apply product on top of you
Right
don't
on
even know
top
what
of,
I did
yeah.
here.
Right.
And you're not my boss, and I'm just doing my job and stuff. I was like,
That is
oh my
crazy.
God. Yeah.
That's how they do it, though. I've heard that when you start at some of those companies, like you're a start technician. And if the guys on the segways, the sales guys, are out till 9 o'clock, you have
Yeah.
to be out till 9 o'clock, because they'll be like, okay, hey, come to this address and
Yeah.
spray right now. And they don't care. They don't know what's what. They don't know that he clearly knew that you had just applied, but like at the end of the day, they're not actually in it for the customer service. They're in it for their bottom line.
Absolutely. And the first company I worked for was one of those. And so I would be assigned Start Tech or whatever. I think we called it Initial Service Pro. And I had to follow the Segway team. And at a certain point, though, I was allowed to say I'm done. Like if it got 8 p.m., and even though peak summer, it's still daylight till 9, I would call it then and be like, I'm not going any. They would try to bribe me and stuff with money, with I'll buy you lunch tomorrow, anything, because what ended up happening was one guy broke down to me at the end of the season because he had to hit a certain dollar point to be able to go home. And he was like, please just take this one more, I just want to go home. And I'm like,
Jesus
this
Christ.
is weird. I was like,
it's awful.
It's like you're being held against
it's
your
abusive
will, man. Yeah.
Well, so from what I've heard of those companies, a lot of them are Utah based and
Yes, mine was.
use very similar tactics to what cult leaders use to manipulate their people, and use very similar tactics as I'm trying to like not offend anybody too much, but there's a little bit of a link between the religious door knockers and the pest control sales door knockers, and a lot of the same tactics and abuses and whatever are used, and that's why those businesses are based in Utah.
Yeah.
And they're well versed in manipulation and abusing people who are working for them. I don't know. If I were going to start a business, going door to door would be the absolute last thing I ever thought to do in pest control. Like, we used to have to prospect, but you would only prospect businesses, really. Some guys would go into neighborhoods, but like it wasn't necessarily, we were never encouraged to do that. But we would go like business to business and like walk into a business and be like, hey, can I ask you some questions about your pest control? But like going door to door, I just feel like it's so, and then the tactics that they use, like I've seen them where they don't let people tell them no. And they promise the world and then they never deliver. And so like we got warnings like, oh, they're in XYZ neighborhood and they're on their segways and they're going door to door. You're going to lose a bunch of customers, but don't worry, they'll be back in 2 months when nobody shows up to do the service, or when the service is bullshit, or, they won't go inside when the customer asks them to, or they, whatever it is, like they use some pretty shady tactics to do business. So I don't think that they're not built for longevity. They're just trying to get as many profits as they can milk.
Right.
And then they'll move on to the next area.
Yeah. And that's where, like, when you're on Facebook and LinkedIn and all those things, and there's all those like training video, pest control industry, whatever, services and things for pest control people, I always like have that feeling in the back of my mind that this is like one of those scammy things. Like, I've read sales books, I've trained myself in sales, and there is that fine line between scammy and genuinely offering a good product and being a good closer for that product. So so I'm always so hesitant when it's like, join this and watch all our videos so you can be the next bug billionaire. And it's
Bug billionaire.
Yes.
Well, and what's
but-
funny is we got the post. You and I talked about this being a segment that we were going to talk about this based on that first story. And since you sent me that first story, I think I've seen 6 or 8 posts this week in all of the different Facebook groups that I'm in for pest control about the door knockers and what a nuisance they are, and how, yeah, they don't even care. You will literally be in the yard of a customer and they're like, hey, I can do better for you. And it's like, no, you fucking can't. First of all, it's just a race to the bottom. It's just, they just want those numbers. They'll charge you $25 a month, but are they going to show up and do the job? Are they going to actually answer your questions? Are they like, it's just so scammy and so culty.
Yeah.
I don't like it. I think
Yep.
it's a poor business model.
Yep. And that's
And sorry, go ahead.
that's the thing with Pestrogen that we love, is like genuineness.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I've talked to people who are like from that, and when they've talked about like technicians who have worked at those companies or grew up in that environment where those companies are based, and they're like, oh yep, I'm just gonna hire my door knockers. And it's like, gross. Why don't you just build your business ethically and honestly?
Right. And
Like,
I'm
door
sure
knocking
they're
and harassing people is,
right.
I don't
Which
know.
I know there are some honest folk that do door to door work, but
Yeah.
it's not those like random people pulled off the street. Oh, you look like a pretty boy. Let's get ya. You know.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's some good people that are honest and just doing it as a way to drum up business. Unfortunately, there's a lot more who are scammers and gross.
Yes. Yes.
So what do we say to those people?
Your
Bless your
heart.
heart.
Bless your heart.
Well, bless your heart, cheap little fucker.
And then you also have a personal
Yes.
one to share.
Yes, I'm gonna take the soapbox for a second, which
Mhm.
it's funny because even beauties and beasties could tell I'm on the Shire side. But I have a poem, and this stems from kind of our theme in Pestrogen this month, which thank you, ladies, all of you who have shared. And we still have a little bit time left this month to share more if you want. And then we might put up like a thing if we want to do another kind of type of theme in March. Who knows? We're still a growing group. We've only got 180 ladies or so. But with the February theme, Speak Up, I'm going to read a poem that I wrote. And I will post this in Pestrogen as well. But it goes, a sisterhood of sorts I once did find, a woman's group with purpose aligned. But as time passed, a truth did unfold, greed crept in, and hearts grew cold. They preyed on sisters with only thoughts of pink tax to sell, pink washing their motives, a story to tell. Taxing women's careers with prices so steep, a feminist facade with profits to keep. I couldn't stay silent. I couldn't abide the hypocrisy and greed that would not subside. So I made a choice to leave and to start a new path, a new group with a feminist heart. No pink tax here, no exploitation to see, just women empowering women, wild and free. A space to uplift, to support and to share, a sisterhood of substance with love and care. You say I can't join in convention without an apology, but once I bring it to public light, that's not what you want them to see. Invited past when I could budget a plan for a flight. You then offer not your own funds for your fault, but you offer that of innocent donations folk. The entire reason I left from the shame, there's no way I'd sail on the honest hearts at your own gain. So let this be a lesson to all who can see that feminists and greed cannot coexist in harmony. Let's rise up, sisters, and take back our might. and create a world where women shine with all their light. So that concludes the poem. So with that poem, though vague, anybody who knows what I'm talking about. So, and anybody who doesn't, just enjoy the poetry. It's fine. But so we wanted to announce with that we are taking actual steps to make Pestrogen an official legal nonprofit organization. So with that, there is no staff, but we will have board members. The board members will do like a monthly Zoom call, and with that, they'll discuss finances, statutes of which dictate the specifications behind each grant or whatever is offered. So an example of what we'll raise funds for and provide unto women in the pest industry is where like an emergency crisis fund. So if you lose a spouse, a child, your house burns down or whatever, there's going to be a fund for that for women in the industry. But also like the owner op grant, study resources for those who don't get them from employers. So what's pure and beautiful about it is that it's black and white. There's no gray areas. So I can't just make my best friend a COO and back them when they make a mistake, regardless of how unjust it is. So I think the Pestrogen nonprofit organization is going to be beautiful. So we just wanted to mention that, and with my little poem. But there will be criteria that needs met to become a board member. And once that's all ironed out, we will have an application process. And it'll be posted in Pestrogen groups, Facebook, LinkedIn, all that good stuff. So, but yeah, thanks. That's my soapbox. What are we doing next week?
I don't know.
Oh yeah, no, I know. We're
having Jennifer, right?
Yes, Jennifer. She is from Buckeye Bedbug, I believe, but she's super interesting because she does the canine bedbug detection.
Yeah, so. Bedbug inspections with pupperonis.
Yeah, pupperonis. She's always posting all kinds of pretty pictures of her puppers, and oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's got to be such an exciting way to spend your days. I can't wait to chat with her and hear all about it. I think that would be really, really cool.
Yeah, hopefully she'll show us a pupper on camera.
Yes.
It'd be so cute.
But yes.
Yes.
Yeah, so we're starting to have guests. So that's super. Yes. That she'll be our first guest.
Yes. Oh.
I can't wait.
Speaking of first guests, our buddy Sean Muller of Pest Perspectives is having his first female guest soon.
Wonderful.
I didn't read in on who she is or anything. I'm just going to have to tune in, and y'all have to as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm. How exciting.
I know. We've got, I feel like I got more friends in the UK now than I got in America. Right? It's awesome.
Just have to take a trip over there at some point and do a live show in the UK.
Absolutely. I'm down.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
Well, fun. I think that's kind of covered all of the bases. Yeah. You have anything else to add, ma'am?
I don't.
Oh, look at your kitty.
I know. He's just a stinker. But we're preparing for busy season. So with that, I think we bid you adieu.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Yeah, hopefully we'll see you again.
Yeah.